Time for us to talk about the Zhang Liang boss fight. I'm going to give you guys some tips just that help me get through this boss fight. Hopefully it helps you too. Either way, the first tip for me is when it comes to healing, sprint away from the boss. You'll find that he has really good tracking and pretty good abilities for closing distance. But if you do kind of manage to run to the other end of the arena, he won't catch you in a single attack. And you should find that you have enough time to get a heal off, which I just find is kind of a helpful tip. It's also pretty helpful if you're using something like the Water Mage and you want to use some long range abilities or something like this, even though that is going to weaken you off when you're up and close and personal. With this guy, most of his attacks are blockable, so bear that in mind, and you can exercise basically everything else that you do against other enemies in the region against him. Just bear in mind that deflection is the name of the game for winning here. Also, if people are put off by this, I really want to beseech you to complete this boss specifically. Once this is done, we basically get a permanent companion that we can summon whenever we like, and co-op also becomes available for the rest of the game, so you don't need to feel like you are pigeonholed into this solo. So for the first phase of the fight, I recommend trying to stay aggressive on him as much as you can. Your light attacks are going to stagger him and interrupt him quite a lot, and you're going to find that he blocks most of the time. Bearing this in mind, what I recommend is that you keep the light attacks flowing in. As soon as your blue bar is raised, use your spirit attack to keep on whittling down his spirit. It's going to put him into critical positions so that we can get some executions on him and get his health going down. Something to note here, that whilst it isn't like a separate phase or anything, once his health does go below halfway, seems like he does like to chain his charge attacks or unblockable attacks. So bear that in mind. Like if you deflect the first one, just bear in mind that he's going to almost always charge the second one straight after, so you will want to be deflecting that one as well. The good thing is if you deflect both of these, you will likely open him up to another execution, so that's pretty good, so just bear that in mind. When it comes to the second phase, he does look a lot more intimidating. This is easier than it looks though. We need to get his health down to halfway. The thing about this is most of his attacks are actually blockable, even though he's a big, bulky guy. So hold your block button, get the deflects in there. That's going to be pretty useful. You can also use the sprint to your advantage as well. The move that I personally had the most trouble with was the stone spikes. These are deflectable and they're also blockable. The block isn't perfect, doesn't 100% block the damage. It will cause chip damage on the character, but you can block them. And deflecting them at the right time will mitigate all of the damage and build up your spirit as well, which is quite useful. Now, if you want an easy time here, you can just kind of stay out of his range a little bit and try and bait his grab attack. If you manage to deflect this, basically all you need to do from there is run in, hit him twice, get a spirit attack on the go, and that basically always opens him up to an execution. Do that twice, and that should have him under half health, which is where we can finish this boss fight by summoning in the spirit that we now have the Jade for, given to us by the blindfolded dude. On the Xbox, that's pressing Y and B, and the PlayStation, it's triangle and circle. I don't know the keyboard buttons that you need to press. I'm sorry about that. If you really want an easy time with this, you really can kind of just stay just out of his reach, get him to try and use that grab on you, because that kind of seems to be when he wants to use it. He does have another deflectable attack, but it's an unblockable and a long combo, and if you happen to miss the deflection, it's going to hurt a lot, so I don't really recommend that one. I do recommend just sprinting away. Literally just press your sprint button in as you're going away, and you'll sprint. You'll find you're going pretty quick. Unless you're in corner or something like this, he probably won't catch you. This means that we don't really need to worry about getting chip damage in on him. You can obviously go ahead and attack him if you want to. I'm not saying don't do it. You can stay on his ass as much as you want and treat this like a normal fight. But if you want an easier time, you can just try and bait those grabs, get 2 of them in, and that will end the fight for you. I hope this helps you out, and I'll see you all again soon.